Hello and welcome back to another Tea Time video with me, Meoni. This is the video series where I get to sit down with you lot and talk as if you're actually here, because I can't live stream due to the bandwidth issues that are still plaguing my area, regardless of the constant reassurance that this will be upgradable in 2020. But yeah, it was supposed to be upgraded towards the end of this year. We still haven't got any news on that. Pretty much this end of the year has come and gone, so when it comes to the upgrade of my internet, I'm pretty much not holding my breath at this point. It's just pure lies. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see for the new year, but obviously, you know, things aren't really going to pick up until people get back to work. A lot of people are breaking up now, so I very much doubt that they're going to go and sort fiber optic broadband out anytime soon. Regardless of that though, this time around, let's talk about the community events that we've been running as part of our YouTube community. So these are people who Patreon me or just follow me or view my videos, so it's not exclusive to any particular part of my following. It's just people on Chaos Data Center that want to hang out and yeah, basically share in the joy. So we've been doing community events. We sort of picked these up a few weeks ago, in fact, and we started with doing a Nier raid, which was highly successful. We did that with sort of like a Namazu theme and people dressed up in their Nier outfits. We've been doing dog mount runs, so that's the Stormblood dog mounts from those extremes, and more recently the previous weekend from before the last, we did all of the Alliance raids from Heavensward as Blue Mage. Now, in particular, we have some footage to share of this in the background. It's quite messy gameplay, but what an absolute joy that was to actually group with, 23 other players from Chaos Data Center, many of which knew exactly what they were signing up for, the chaos that entailed, and many of them were viewers, fans, and of course, Patreons or subscribers. And yeah, we had a great fun time. A lot of the bosses were very, very easy, and some of the trash mobs, in fact, most of them, you could pretty much kill with things like missile and, taking the percentage of their health down by half, etc. So it was quite enjoyable to see which mobs could be, sort of cheesed and which things would actually do the most damage on bosses. Bosses, for the most part, melted in both Void Ark and the Weeping City of Mark, which were definitely the most fun out of the three instances. But when it came to Dunscape, we had to kind of serious face a few of the bosses simply because of the difficulty, especially Diabolos. At the end there, I managed to die and accidentally released, so I had to watch the last few percentile of that boss from the outside of the arena. But it was an incredible time. We had a lot of fun together. It brought a lot of people sort of the realization that Blue Mage has a lot more potential than perhaps we originally thought. The idea of it being a solo job with, a limited job system wrapped around it was perhaps not the best idea. For the most part, people, when it comes to Blue Mage, will criticize that until they're blue in the face, pun intended. And realistically, they have every right to do so. However, opening up a little bit and allowing other Blue Mages to join in on content is something that we have wanted for the longest time. Now, it may not be like the ultimate thing that we want from the content. We would love to have more stuff to actually do, because past doing Alexander Savage and the occasional Alliance raid and doing allied seal farms basically with the Blue Mage log, there are very few other things to do. I mean, we have the Mass Carnival, but I've recently completed that. I'm pushing out guides for those last few stages, which were quite taxing, but at the same time, at the end of the day, I don't think Blue Mage is quite where it needs to be, and a lot of people will still say, regardless of any of the inclusions, that it should have been a regular job, and for the most part, I agree. Now, I can't be too hypocritical, because I've been sort of like backwards and forwards between loving and hating Blue Mage, and it's come to the point where I do love and hate it simultaneously. I hate it because there's not much of a future beyond this sort of content, and it's a shame that we can't group with other players, or we can't do other things outside of what we've got, and I'm sure that will increase over time. But at the same time, I'm loving the aspect of having little challenges to do. It reminds me very much of when I played World of Warcraft in, for example, Mists of Pandaria, when challenge modes were introduced. My absolute pleasure was to basically stop raiding after Throne of Thunder, and I went and did pretty much all of the challenge mode dungeons, and I got gold on those and got the exclusive transmog or glamour, as you would know it, and there's an exclusive mount to that as well. But that was designed to be like incredibly hard 5-player content, so smaller numbers of people, but very hard sort of stuff, and you had to do it within a time limit. Well, pretty much Blue Mage is that answer in Final Fantasy XIV. That's why it ticked a box for me. There's lots of things like the Mass Carnival that are great at scratching that itch very, very lightly, you know, for a few hours here and there. I spent probably about 50-60 hours just on the Blue Mage Mass Carnival in total so far, since its original inception all the way up to current 5.15, and I think that's a fairly decent amount of time to put into something, but that's not something that necessarily everybody will do. You know, I do a lot of the content in the game to record it, not necessarily because it's something I would do if I wasn't a YouTube content creator, and I think that's something to bear in mind. You can't base someone's enjoyment off of something if they are basically doing that for work, as much as somebody who's more casual, who only has like 2 to 3 hours a night after work, then obviously you're going to have less progression in that, or less desire to do something that doesn't really have too much in the way of rewards. Now, we do have the Moorball mount, which is from completing certain segments of Alexander and Coil of Bahamut Savage, which is a really cool thing, and it's amazing that people went for that, and I'm working on that myself. But is it something I would necessarily go for if I wasn't making videos? Probably not. There are certain things I collect in the game. Mostly it comes down to minions, and my minion collection pretty much has the same issue as everything else. If it's an exclusive minion with an art book, I can't really afford, like the rest of you, I can't afford to just buy every single art book and every single, music CD or Blu-ray just for a minion. I buy the occasional one here and there, and I try to budget it into, making videos and hopefully getting some return on some of that payment, past the god-awful shipping that Square Enix Store actually provides. Don't remind us how expensive that is. But at the same time, it doesn't massively affect me too much, because the majority of the minions in the game, in the actual game that are released, I've worked hard to actually acquire, and I'm enjoying collecting those. But when it comes to mounts, they've put them behind some very unusual things, or things that I just can't get into. That doesn't actually devalue them, that makes them more sought after and much rarer. So my hat is off to anybody who actually says they collect mounts and has hundreds of these things. The PvP ones, including the rank ones, including all of the savage ones, including anything that's pretty much hard to get, or the mount you get from commendations. Those are really cool items that are kind of locked behind challenges in particular, and that's really cool. I don't think Blue Mage is really going to benefit from having more stuff locked behind it. We saw in 5.15 there was Cute Justice, which is the new minion, which, is miniature brute justice. I mean, who doesn't want that at the end of the day? It's absolutely adorable, but that is locked behind 50-something levels and a Mass Carnival battle and a load of questline. Now, it probably doesn't take that long if you were to, be boosted through this with your levels with a friend. If you come over and play Blue Mage for 50 to 60 hours, you too can get this minion, this mount, etc. So how long will it be before, we have glamour items placed in there, for example, and things like that? Now, I'm not completely against that. If Blue Mage doesn't have enough of an incentive itself, then perhaps including things that people can't get elsewhere as an incentive is probably not the best solution. Perhaps we could have the content expanded or worked on based on player feedback. But then I can only imagine that the player feedback forum threads are pretty messy at this point, with some disgruntled people who just wanted a normal job. And that is a valid argument as well, as we've said. So it's a messy thing, Blue Mage. But I do have to say, grouping with 23 other Blue Mages and seeing them all spam different crazy abilities and having the spell effects turned up does look really insane. And yeah, you see things like Ram's voice and you try to run away from it, for example, and then you remember, oh wait, that's another player. Entertainment, it really is. So there is potential there. It just needs to be opened up a little bit. I said before it would be great to have like a Blue Mage only PvP system. That would be completely messy. You'd be trading like instant kills. You'd probably have like different abilities, but it would be really fun to just open up in a frontline situation with the current spells as they are. That would be really, really enjoyable, I think, especially if it had its own little rewards here and there for just playing it for a small amount of time. We need little fun distractions, and I think that's what 5.15 was. It certainly wasn't a main patch, and we have that to look forward to in 5.2 in late or mid-February, as they've said in the latest live letter. So yeah, the community events are things I love to do. We've been doing those pretty much every Sunday on and off. We had a couple of weeks where we didn't do some, but things come up and, obviously real life comes first, especially when it's close to this season, as you know. So also, I will say we're not doing another tea time next week. Next week is the Christmas week, so there's going to be a lack of videos for the most part. But at the same time, there won't be a tea time video until after Christmas week, so the week after, I would imagine. And as I say, most of the videos will be pretty small in a number. And I'll be enjoying the holiday season, as you can probably imagine. And of course, we won't be doing a community event for probably a couple of weeks due to traveling back and forth between family, etc. And I just won't be around for that sort of content. But yes, it's been a fantastic year so far. 50,000 subscribers was reached way before Christmas. I still can't believe it. I think we're like 400 more subscribers into that already, which I don't believe that I deserve. But you guys seem to think I do. I'm just making my videos. I'm trying to find interesting content to talk about and to show off and little exciting things. I have a passion for this game like no other game I've ever played, and hopefully that comes across. And I really try to engage myself with different parts of the game that ordinarily, like I've said earlier, if I wasn't a YouTube content creator, I would just simply not do. But being someone who wants to share as much of this game as possible, and can't live stream, I try to dip my toe or my whole foot at this point into pretty much everything I possibly can. I'm probably spreading myself too thin, because if I focused on one particular element, I'd probably be able to do like the current Savage content or even Ultimate, or the PvP seasons coming up. I could have put my whole foot into that, but I spread myself a bit thin, but for the most part, it's for the benefit of a variety of videos, so we don't always have the same stuff. One thing I do say, though, as like a New Year's resolution, if we're going to talk about that, I want to return to more funny videos. This is something that I've sort of stagnated on. I used to love doing little machinimas that not many people enjoyed here and there, but for the most part, I enjoyed doing them. They made me laugh and my family and friends laugh. So it's something that I want to return to, even though my editing skills are pretty bad. I'm learning, and I would love to do more voice act stuff as well. I do enjoy voicing stupid characters, so you can expect more of that in 2020 for sure. So in regards to 50k subscribers, I'm not going to give details yet. I want you to stay tuned, but around Christmas time, I will be releasing a video talking about a potential giveaway. This one is a special giveaway, a very, very, very special giveaway. So this will be something to look out for on the channel. I don't want to talk about it yet. There will be no links to the giveaway website or anything like that, but this is something I want to give back to you guys, and we've actually had quite a lot of help this time around. We've had some people donate some things towards this giveaway, and it's going to be very special, I can assure you, so stay tuned for that one. So yeah, let's talk about the holiday seasonal event. So Starlight Festival 2019 went live. You saw my previous two videos on that, and I think my third one where I was laughing at how awful the singing is if you just take your hands off of the keyboard. I had to make that video. I know a lot of other people made that same sort of video, but that's just because none of us in content creation could believe how wonderful that sounded, how painfully, like, just ear-screechingly beautiful, you can actually badly sing a choir song. So that was a highlight of the year for me for sure. But the seasonal event is pretty good. A lot of people I see on forums and Reddit posts do seem a bit disgruntled about the fact there's no mount this year or no glamour. But you can't have it all the time, guys. I mean, we had a choir glamour outfit last year. We've got barding this year. It's kind of just a bit of a cycle. So next year we'll probably get a mount if anything's to go by just pure estimation. They do this with a lot of the seasonal events. You can't always have a glamour for every single event or a mount for every event. They sort of alternate. And when it came to the Starlight Festival, they wanted to make a piece of barding sort of representative of a character, or animal character, I should say, if you've not done it. I'm not going to spoil it, related to the actual storyline of this year's event. And on the whole, the storyline was pretty good. It was a bit short, as they always seem to be, full of hilarity, and I love the cutscene work. So when you go to actually do the choir event, if you didn't know, you had like the singing event from last year where you hit the notes in time with like mouse clicks or button clicks if you're on controller, and then you play a piece of music. Well, I've got a new piece of music, Starlight D Chocobo, this year, which sounds absolutely amazing. You get the orchestrion role for that piece of music if you actually do this a couple of times and save up the tokens, and you can exchange those. So that's nice to have for your house. But it's really fun to be back in one of the best seasonal events. I do hope in the future we get something like that, like the choir event minigame inside the Gold Saucer. I still think that's probably one of the best things they could add. I know they're sort of playing around with the performance mode on Bard recently, more recently, at least 5.1, we gained new performance abilities where you can actually play Bard perform buttons, so like the different notes, to on-screen notes that lit up, a little bit like Ozu or another rhythm action game, but you're playing the instrument itself, which is really cool. It's in its sort of like early days and is like 3 songs to choose from. But if they combined that idea with the choir event idea and put that in the Gold Saucer as sort of like a non-seasonal package just of, popular music such as, Answers and the Heavensward theme and stuff like that, then I think, honestly, I would spend a lot more time in the Gold Saucer, especially if you gave orchestrion rolls or something as rewards for top scores. But yeah, I'm completely blabbering here, but the idea of this particular game mode just makes my mind expand. There's so many possibilities with that sort of feature. And the reason I think that they might do something like a mini game for the Gold Saucer like this is usually we see little bits and pieces of an eventual game mode as separate pieces. So like the Adventurer Squadron missions was pretty much like the first basis for the Trust system. And then we had stuff inside Eureka, which also added to that, and the idea of having all of those unique abilities, and that turned into Blue Mage. So there's a lot of recycled content that eventually comes round and makes a complete package. And I think something for the Gold Saucer based on that piece of music, or I guess it doesn't have to be the Gold Saucer, it could be, playing the drums inside your house, for example. That would be nice, like a rhythm action game where you hit the keys to, the beat, and then you have like a performance option with other classes. That would be nice. So like if you're a warrior, you get a drum kit as a performance option, and if you're a bard, you get what you currently have, harps and stuff. And then if you're let's say, what can I say? If you're a lancer or dragoon, you get a flute. That would be rather entertaining. Something like that. I don't know. I haven't really thought this through too much, but there's so many different things you could do with this sort of content that you can just sort of view it from afar and realize that if you've played this game for any length of time, that they're working on something behind the scenes with all of these bits and pieces. And we've seen that with pretty much every piece of content in the game so far. It's all originated from a different element or different idea already in the game. And that's something that Final Fantasy XIV does a lot, where they introduce something that perhaps isn't a complete, polished, practice sort of product, and then they refine it over time. They add it to other things, they add other things to it, and eventually they make something really fun and exciting, such as the trust system, or any of the things we've seen in the Gold Saucer, where we have Yojimbo with Slices Right, which is based off of mechanics from Harshamal in the Rabanasta Alliance raid, for example, stuff like that, you know, with the chopping of the bamboo. So yeah, I'm quite excited for the future. I want to see what 2020 brings for the game. But yeah, more rhythm action games for sure. When it comes to the actual rewards, though, I got off in a bit of a tangent there. I think the barding is fine. It's quite decorative. It's obviously for the festive season. And yeah, I mean, you can't really hate on something just because it's not a mount or a minion or, you know, glamour. We can't have it all the time, like I said before. And I do like a bit of variety. If it was just mounts forever, then I would be a bit sore that they didn't add them to different parts of content. You know, we like earning mounts and minions here and there, so I don't know. A bit of variety is always the best solution. So that brings us pretty much to the end of this tea time video. So all that's left is pretty much to wish you the happiest of holidays, and I really do hope you have some time with your families and friends and take this time to just relax if you can. If you're working, then just know that you're working towards, you know, a better tomorrow with more money and, you know, a better time with your family. So, you know, just take whatever time you have and just respect it as much as possible. If you're feeling a bit down this year, just remember that there's always next year, and that's the best thing to aim for. 2020 is going to be a very exciting year for a number of reasons for a lot of people, be that political, religious, or just normal. Just aim for the future. Know that in yourself you know what you really want. Aim for the stars, and pretty much you can't go wrong, because you pretty much have to break eggs to make an omelette. And I know that's the most cliched thing to say, but, you know, if you're in a rough spot right now, just push through it as best you can. I know it seems hard right now, but you'll get there in the end. But at the same time, I must thank you all from the bottom of my heart, or the top of my heart. I'm not sure why the bottom is supposed to be more sincere than the top of the heart, but my entire heart goes out to you. There you go. That's probably a better saying. But yeah, thank you very much for this year. Here's to next year. Let's see how much further we can push those sub numbers and how many more videos I can put out, because I love this. It's meaning the world to me that I can actually do this at this point full time. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what sort of community we can build. So thank you all kindly for watching this video. Thank you for this year. Have a happy holidays, and I'll see you all next time.